And then there were four. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to continuing coverage of the BC Men's Curling Championship live here on Curl BC TV. John Cullen once again alongside four-time BC Scotties champion and one-time Canadian Scotties champion Melissa Saligo. And Melissa, it's a rematch of the A final. Once again, Jeff Richard against the Islanders' Paul Cseke. We saw a rematch of the ladies' A final in the 1-2 game last night, and it was a very close game. Are you expecting the same thing here today?
I would think so, John. You know, we did see, as you say, this is a repeat of what we saw a couple of days ago, and Team Czech coming out on top of that game, obviously. But both teams we saw, I think, are going to employ the exact same strategy. Lots of rocks in play. Both teams taking some risks, trying to get those deuces on the board when they have the hammer. And I totally expect this to be a fun and entertaining game.
I agree. I think the A final was maybe a lot closer than the scoreline suggested. Of course, that was an 8-2 victory for the Islanders, but it was just a few key misses from Brent Pierce that allowed some, some big scores and some big steals for Team Czech. So I'm assuming that it's going to be a closer battle today. I know even talking to Paul after that game that we covered earlier this week, that A final, he even said himself, he was like, oh, the scoreline flattered us a little bit. It was a pretty close game. And obviously, Team Richard dropping down to the B final and winning that one to get back into the 1-2 game just shows how well they're playing. So this should be a great game to watch here on this lovely Saturday morning. And so we get a look at the team sort of trying to get behind this center guard here, and we'll meet the teams. We get a good look there at Jay Wakefield for the Islanders. He is throwing second stones but holding the broom for this Team Czech. That's Ryan Cassidy at lead. As we said, Jay Wakefield throwing second stones, Corey Chester at third, and then Paul Czech is the fourth. They curl out of the Victoria Curling Club in Victoria, BC. And here we get a look at Brent Pierce, who is holding the broom and skipping for Team Richard. Lead Nicholas Meister, second Jared Colomea, third Jeff Richard. And skip Brent Pierce, and they're playing out of the Royal City and Kelowna Curling Clubs. So they're also trying to roll under that center guard and just won't quite get there.
John, you always know it's championship weekend when you see the black curtain come out. And
absolutely, it's either championship weekend or I've had a really bad set. And then they pull the black curtain on me and they say, okay, that's enough, get off the stage. But yeah, no, it's looking great in here. It's obviously going to be a very fun weekend. This is the final game that we will have exclusively on Curl BC TV. Of course, this afternoon we'll be switching over to cbcsports.ca and Czech TV. We'll still have the game for you here on Curl BC TV as well, but obviously the more places we can have the game covered, the better, and we're really looking forward to carrying the games with Czech this afternoon. We have two more games today. We'll have the women's semifinal between Sarah Wark and Marianne Arsenault live at 2 p.m. Pacific time. And then tonight it will be the men's semifinal between the loser of this game and the winner of the game going on next door, which is the 3-4 game between Jim Cotter and Tyler Tardy. So if you are unfamiliar with the page playoff system, that's how it works. These are our 1 and 2 teams playing each other. The winner of this game will get a bye directly to Sunday's final, and the loser will get a second life, and they'll drop down to that semifinal tonight. Jay Wakefield does not want to roll out here, and it'll hang on.
Yeah, that's all. You know how important that and to ensure that you stay on the rings there for sure. If you roll out, that gives Team Richard an opportunity to draw around that center guard. So great hang on there by Jay. Team Czech, of course, with the hammer here in the first by virtue of finishing first overall.
And same thing for Jeff here. Does not want to roll out, but he will. So an opportunity for Corey Chester to get behind this center guard. And we'll talk a little bit about the paths these teams took to get here. Both of these teams not in the top 4 seeds. So in a 12-team triple knockout like this event, the top 4 seeds get a bye through the first game. Neither of these teams getting that bye. Paul Cseke is the 5th seed and Jeff Richard the 6th seed. So they both had to play that opening game. And the Islanders were full value for it, beating Mitchell Kapitko 10-3. They then went on to beat Jim Cotter 9-8, Tyler Tardy 10-6. And then in that A final we talked about earlier, they beat Jeff Richard 8-2. And for Jeff Richard, they had a similarly difficult and long path through the A, beating Josh Kennelly 8-6 in the first game before beating Rob Nobert 7-1. Then they beat the number 2 seed Sebastian Robillard 9-2 before losing that A final to the Islanders. And then they rebounded with a win in the B final yesterday, beating Jim Cotter 7-6. So a delicate hit here for Jeff Richard as he's got to play hack weight around this guard. And that will just rub the guard and just sail past that blue stone. And so an opportunity here for the Islanders to lie 2 with hammer. And that's an unfortunate miss for Jeff Richard.
It really is, and you know, we've talked about the ice conditions so much this week and how fantastic they've been under the guise of Mike Merklinger. And you know, a rock can be fully buried and you throw that nice soft weight and you should be able to access it, but the sweepers for Jeff Richard just couldn't hold that one, and I think he just got the backside of that guard. So really unfortunate miss there for Jeff.
So Corey Chester trying to draw the wings here, but they need this one to hang on. Will it slow down in time? It will. So sometimes those opening throws to the wings are a little bit tricky, Melissa. You don't necessarily know the path super well, and so Corey just had to trust it there and puts it in the right spot. So now Brent has to decide whether he just wants to hit this and essentially concede the 2, and that looks like what he's going to do. The other option he could have here, Melissa, is to draw around everything, but in the first end, you certainly don't want to give up 3.
No, for sure you don't. And, you know, Jeff was having to look at it to see if you could maybe do something towards the middle, but, you know, I think you have to understand you can't give up 3 the first end, that is for sure. And Brent knows that, and he was pretty much convinced that it's time to hit that rock. And you could roll maybe towards the center. You never know what happens, but they can't get shot rock, I don't think, with the roll. It is pretty far back in the 12-foot.
Yeah, no, I don't think you can get shot, that's for sure. So first stone here for Brent Pierce, former world champion and 4-time men's provincial champion. And Nick Meister picking up this right away. You definitely don't want to roll out here. That would give another good opportunity for, oh my goodness.
Oh boy. Wow.
As Ben Hebert says, maybe a little, well, just a little flash there. I was going to say a Ric Flair, but it wasn't a Ric Flair. It was the opposite of that. It was a little turn in, a little tight, and now the opportunities here for the Islanders to potentially get something in position for 3.
And you can see the conversation going on here, John, and the problem with it's not a big problem. Obviously, you have an opportunity to lie 3 here, but the problem is that rock, the blue stone there is just in the top 8. So if you were to go to the open side, or you would to, you know, even come to the face, as Paul was indicating, the whole 4-foot is still open for Brent Pierce. So I really like this shot. I think you have to tap your blue one and get something into the 4-foot, because if you're not in the 4-foot at the end of this shot, you know that Brent Pierce is going there.
Yeah, I think Brent hitting on his first one, obviously to try and hold it to 2, but if you're already potentially giving up 3, it's probably worth the risk of maybe giving up a 4th point to try
Right.
and secure a potential steal. So I agree. I think this is the right call. Paul Czeke's first rock here in the first. Just looking for a tap here.
I can hear Corey saying back 4, so that's quite a bit of weight, I think. It's not curling as much as they're expecting. So plan B here.
Yeah, make it
I'd
the
be
other
taking
way
that
and
rock.
just
Yeah.
go around everything. So yeah, they would have been looking for sort of back 4 weight there. And we've seen this all week, Melissa, even on draws. If you're sort of 4 feet heavy, you just don't get the curl that you're expecting. And this is a potential lifeboat here for Brent Pierce. If he can freeze on this, it's an opportunity to potentially force the Islanders to 1.
Yeah, that was a big mistake there by Paul for sure. And there's not really a great tolerance on that shot. Obviously, he threw a reasonable weight that he could have played the tap, but as you said, John, that couple feet extra weight, it just runs a little straighter, a little bit longer, and takes a bit more time to hit the break point. And unfortunately, as you see, it's fully buried, almost over buried, but it took that extra time to do so. So not where Paul Czeke definitely wanted that stone. So great opportunity here now for Brent Pierce to lock one right on that stone in the back 12, or back 8, pardon me.
So big shot early here for Brent Pierce, facing 3 without hammer. They're calling them on for line right away.
You can see this rock curling. It's got to get by the 1 in the top 8. I think he's by. Or is he?
It looked like he might have just caught a little piece of it. Maybe just caught the back of that blue one. And I think Paul Czeke will have an opportunity here. I mean, certainly to pick it out for 3, but might even have a hack weight shot for 4 here.
Yeah, there's a good look at it. Unfortunately for Nick Meister, he had to jump on that right away because I think Brent was a little bit tight. You heard Jeff call the line. And when you do that, when you jump on a rock right away, you kind of kill it, so to speak. And so unfortunately, it didn't get to bury as much as they were hoping. So there is a hack weight shot here, as you say, John, for Paul Czeke to potentially get 3 and maybe even 4.
Yeah, I think if he hits it in the right spot, he should be able to stick his shooter around for 4. Of course, the main thing if you're Paul Czeke here, you want to secure that 3, so you don't want to get too cute for 4, but a massive opportunity for the Islanders here in the first. Paul Czeke's final stone, a chance for 4.
Oh, you hear them going again right away. Oh, now they've backed off a bit. Well, this has a bit more than hack weight, that's for sure.
Certainly.
I don't think he's going to get any.
It will not. So a big opportunity missed for Paul Czeke here in the first end. Brent Pierce, by the skin of his teeth, pulls out a steal.
Oh.
And so it'll be a 1-0 lead for Team Pierce over the Islanders as we head into the second end. You're watching Curl BC TV. Welcome back, everybody, to continuing coverage of the BC Men's Provincial Curling Championships live from Kamloops, BC. John Cullen alongside Melissa Saligo as we're calling this 1-2 game here in the Page playoffs at the BCs. And Melissa, maybe a little bit more of a dramatic first end than we were expecting. Paul Czeke with a shot for 4 and unfortunately just misses it. And it ends up being a steal of 1 for Brent Pierce. And it was Well, it was never looking like a steal until that Czeke stone just sailed past it. That's for sure.
Oh, absolutely, and that is an opportunity I know Paul's going to beat himself up on. You know, he just overthrew it. I think he called hack weight. He threw at least board, if not a little bit more, and I think that maybe is just the adrenaline. But unfortunately for Team Czech, huge opportunity miss there in that first end.
Yeah, he might have been throwing more than hack. I mean, my guess was hack. He might have been trying to throw board, but in any case, even if he was throwing board, he threw a little bit more weight than he was expecting to throw. And I mean, we talked about it on his first one too. We've seen that all week here. If you're just if your weight's a little heavy, the ice is unforgiving. It's just not going to catch that curl, and we saw it there. I mean, Paul even called the sweepers on at one point, maybe not
He did.
realizing that
He did.
he had thrown so much weight. But yeah, certainly once that got out there, it never came back. And so now for the Islanders, Melissa, it's you know, maybe it's only the second end, but maybe a little bit of gut check time here as you miss a huge opportunity, and it's not like they missed the opportunity for 4, but they still got 2. They missed the opportunity for 4 and gave up a steal of 1. So that's a 5-point swing, and that can sometimes be a gut punch, especially this early in the game.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. And you know, and again, I look to Team Czech. They're going to have to find a way just to let that one go. Again, it's only the first end. It's early. Let it go, and for Paul himself specifically to let that one go. And for Team Richard, you know they're taking a huge sigh of relief. They knew they were in trouble with that first miss by Brent Pierce and then a fantastic shot on Brent's second. So you can guarantee that they're taking a big sigh of relief in that first end.
Absolutely. So we'll see if Team Czech can bounce back here. They are a pretty resilient team, and one that doesn't get too bogged down with that sort of thing. But this is also the first time that we've seen this team in this type of situation. Of course, Paul and Jay have both been in multiple provincial finals, and they are former BC junior champions. And Corey Chester has been in BC playoff games as well, and also a former BC junior champion. But it's a little bit different when you're skipping for the first time and you've got an opportunity to go to the BC men's final. You've had 36 hours off to think about it. It can be a bit of a different thing, Melissa.
Oh, I agree. I totally agree. And, you know, as you said, for Paul, this is his first time skipping. And, you know, he was calling the game at one point, as you know, John, and they've made a change, which I think has been to the benefit of the team. But, you know, it's always a different atmosphere here. We talk about this all week. There's the preliminary part of the week, and there's the championship part of the week, and every game is so very, very critical at this point. And again, we talked about the opportunities, right? You aren't going to get very many opportunities in a final, or a 1-2 game like this, and specifically with someone as experienced as Brent Pierce, he's not going to give you too many more of those kind of chances.
No, absolutely. We talked earlier. Brent Pierce, of course, a world champion, winning the Worlds is the third for Greg McCauley back in 2000, and he's been to the Brier 3 times since. And I know talking to Brent, I used to play with Brent, and we've been friends for a long time. And I know that some people might say, oh, you know, he's 52 years old. He's been to the Brier 4 times. He's won the Worlds. You know, what's the motivation to keep playing, as we see a nice hit and roll to guard by Jared Colomea. And I know one thing Brent has always wanted is to skip at the Brier. So all of his 4 Brier appearances, he hasn't been the skip of the team. And so obviously 2 times with Greg McCauley, he made the Brier, and then 2 times with Sean Giel. And he just wanted that's something he's always wanted. He's always wanted to skip at a Brier. And so that's the motivation for him to keep going. And he is, of course, the skip and the last rock thrower of this team, Richard. And so, you know, he's certainly a motivated guy, Brent Pierce. We don't usually talk about him as someone who lacks motivation, Melissa.
I agree. I totally agree. He also got into some coaching too, which is kind of cool.
So they would love for this one to roll onto the rings. It's going to need to spin, and it won't. So rolls to a corner guard. Still not a bad result for Jay Wakefield.
So a couple options here for Brent and his team. They can throw the guard, or they could pick the blue one out at the top of the rings there. And I think they've elected to throw the guard.
They were hoping to throw the guard, but this looks a little heavy. Oh, not
Maybe
too heavy.
overcurled, I would say. A little bit.
Just a smidge. So you can hear the discussion there. Paul thought maybe you could just tap that red stone back, and Jay said he would like to kill it, would like to hit it out of the back of the rings, but Paul was concerned if you play too much weight and you try to kill it and you don't make it, you may actually tick out your own. So they've compromised on hack weight here.
I think this is the smart call.
Go ahead,
John. You have to keep your blue stones in play, both of your blue stones. So, you know, if you can get to the face of it with hack weight and bump that red one back, that's a great shot. This is a great shot, trying to keep your blue stones far apart. It would have been nice to roll that shooter maybe another foot over. I'm not sure if the double is there or not, or the hit and roll.
Yeah, the double certainly
either one, I think.
Looks, yeah. Yeah, you don't even necessarily need the double if you can push that blue out into the 12-foot and sit 2 buried. That's a pretty good spot if you're Team Richard.
Yeah, great opportunity here for Jeff Richard now. Oh, nice shot.
And that will work. It'll leave the Islanders stone as second shot, but does roll in to a pretty good spot here. So looking for maybe a run double here, Melissa. The pro side being maybe you miss the top red and pick out the back red.
Yeah, I think I heard Jay saying looking maybe even for nose to try and get this nose double. It's got to curl another inch or so.
And that'll do it.
It's not too bad.
Yeah, nice shot from Corey. They did talk about that as the potential plan B. If you get the top one, then you get the double, and if you don't, you pick off the shot stone. So it is Team Cseke lying one here with hammer in the second.
And they got a little bit of a bonus on that shot from Corey. If you look, John, that blue stone was wide open before he threw that stone, and the where he hit it, the shooter just rolled a foot to the left as we look at it, and actually now has guarded the shot stone. So a bit of a bonus result there.
Yeah, nice shot from Corey to turn the end around a little bit.
So chance here now for Brent Pierce to play a small tap on his redstone. I think that's what they're calling, just tap it even a couple of feet.
Yeah, exactly.
Jeff maybe indicating that they're coming around it, but the tap looks pretty juicy as well.
I think what he was doing, Melissa, was measuring the come around path, saying if we were to come around, we'd put the broom here. So maybe for the tap, we'd put the broom here, maybe. That's what pardon me, that's sort of what it looked like to me. But yeah, either option is fine, and whether they're coming around or tapping it back. So Brent Pierce's first one here in the second end.
It's nice to be able to hear a little bit of what they're saying. So they're calling T-line weight.
Totally.
Nick Meister trying to get this to curl.
Yeah, so I do think they were playing the tap. It's just how far they'll tap it. They will tap it to shot, but there might be an opportunity here for Paul Cseke to make a double and lie two. Brent doesn't seem to love it.
You know, I'm not sure that they can get the double. I mean, I think it is edge on edge, so that if you have to get almost to the inside of that first red stone to get the double. So I'm not sure that that's worth the risk at the moment. You can nose this red stone and be shot rock at the end of this. I saw Paul indicate maybe hitting the red one and rolling. That's not
Yeah,
bad too. The only thing I worry about with the hit and roll is you leave that redstone right there, and it gives Brent Pierce the exact opportunity on it that to do the same that he did on his first.
I
So
think
I
he's
almost,
trying to make it so that the red rolls over top of maybe the blue one, I think.
maybe, yeah.
But yeah, we'll see. Got to stick that
Again,
shooter.
lots of weight here.
And he will stick the shooter, but it's the Islanders just only lying one here. See, I thought that's what they were trying, was just trying to kind of move the red off of the 4 foot, off of the scoring area.
I think you're right, but I don't think that red was going anywhere far enough, and I assume that they would have wanted their shooter to try and count that one, or at least be able to
Yes, for
bring it
sure.
into play. So, and I just don't think that was there. You'd have to
with
almost
that
throw
weight,
a peel on it.
Yeah, for sure. So opportunity here for Brent Pierce to kind of draw around everything. The Islanders are sitting one here.
Brent threw a great draw in the previous end to get his team out of trouble. We'll be looking to do the same. The sweepers were saying T-line wait the whole way. And here's a nice, great shot by Brent Pierce again.
Really good from Brent. I think Paul will have the opportunity to move this back here, but great weight from Brent and really good spot. Certainly put some pressure here on Paul. You can see there, that is overburied. You got to throw almost back 8 weight here. You can't overthrow this, that's for sure. So we hear that confirmation from Corey. They're throwing back 8, so you basically just want to move this red far enough to make your second blue count. So another opportunity here for Team Cseke. It's not for 4 this time, but 2 would certainly be nice. Final stone for Paul Cseke here in the second.
This one's got to curl a ton here.
Yep.
There it goes, trying to move this
Really
stone.
got to bring this
Can
over.
They get to it?
Will they move the red far enough? They will not. So good attempt from Paul Cseke, but it doesn't quite curl enough to move that red stone far enough, so it's only 1. So we'll see Brent Pierce with the hammer for the first time when we come back. You're watching the BC Men's 1-2 game here on Curl BC TV. So welcome back, folks, to continuing coverage of the BC Men's Provincial Curling Championships. It is the 1 versus 2 game. Melissa Saligo alongside myself, John Cullen here. And we're watching a rematch of the A final here between the Islanders, Team Cseke, and Team Jeff Richard. So Ryan Cassidy gets the center guard up, and Brent Pierce is going to come around it. As we said, the men's 3-4 game happening at the same time as this one. The loser of this game will play the winner of the men's 3-4 game in the semifinal tonight at 7 p.m. Pacific. And it is Jim Cotter out to an early 4-0 lead over Tyler Tardy, getting 1 in the first and then stealing 3 in the second. So the veteran Jim Cotter in control over there, and we'll keep an eye on that game as our feature game here continues. So the shot slips a little far for Nick Meister.
Yeah, just behind the button there. And we look back at those first 2 ends, and you have to think the Islanders have some opportunities, you know, the 4 in the first and 2, but it was Brent Pierce himself making 2 terrific draws on his last stones to really get his team out of trouble those first 2 ends.
Yep, absolutely. That's something Brent has long been known for. He has a great ability to draw, always has really good control of draw weight, and as you said, made 2 excellent shots as Ryan Cassidy makes an excellent shot right there, freezing on that pier stone. Looks like there's enough separation, though, that they can move it. Brent calling hack. So we get a look at former BC junior champion Ryan Cassidy. He's taken a few years off of curling to pursue a firefighting career, and is now just getting back into the game as he's settling into his career and having a little bit more free time. He's been a great fit for this Cseke rink.
So Jared trying to get this one to curl, would love to keep the shooter in play. What a fantastic shot by Nick Meister.
Really good shot from Nick. And that's the type of curling we see at this level. Ryan Cassidy playing that freeze and just is a foot short of making the freeze, and Nick Meister makes him pay for it. It's Team Richard sitting 2 with hammer here in the third. So Jay Wakefield looking for, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, we were going to say the same thing.
Looking for a double here.
You betcha.
And Jay makes no mistake. So some excellent shot making here to start the third end. And of course, this shot making would not be possible without our sponsors. We always want to give them a little bit of shine and thank them for their work, and particularly the local sponsors on the ground here in Kamloops. It's always something that needs to happen at provincial championships. We can't do them without the support of the city or the town that they're located in and the businesses that are located there. So we want to give a couple shout outs to some Kamloops businesses. Save on Foods, Kamloops, which I've frequented that location a few times since it's located right behind the curling club. And Family Glass, who are the sponsor rings of this game. So you maybe have seen their logo. They've got the nice broken glass house that Jay Wakefield just slid through there. But we want to thank them for their continued support of curling, Save on Foods, and Family Glass. So the teams exchanging hits here. This looks similar to what we saw in the first end, Melissa, just trying to get behind that center guard.
Yeah, quite similar. The first few rocks got into some great positions, but with that nice shot by Nick Meister, followed up by a double by Jay Wakefield. We're in this position right now. We're just exchanging stones, as you say.
Looks like neither team wants to really roll yet. I think if you roll from this position, you're rolling to behind the tee line. So we saw Jared Colomea hit that one right on the nose, and it looks like Jay Wakefield has called the same for Corey Chester here. I guess part of the
Someone
risk
will
too,
make a
Melissa,
move.
is yeah, well, you always want to make sure too that if you're playing for a roll that you don't make it halfway or 3/4 of the way, right? That can always be
Right.
the concern, that you go hard for the roll, and then if you come up a little bit short, it makes the roll really easy for the opposition.
That's right, exactly. So, and with that roll away from the center line, I think Brent Pierce would be probably really happy here just to blank this in at this point. So Jeff Richard looking for a nose hit, I think.
So Corey Chester looking for a nose hit here as well. Well, they were going for the roll there.
They kind of changed their mind, but that's exactly what you were talking about, John, the halfway roll. So
Yeah.
now it makes Team Richard's shot here that much easier, simply because it's that much closer to the center guard. So now
Does
it's
look like Brent
deciding whether.
is. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say they're just deciding whether to roll under or roll away, and I think Brent has elected to roll away.
Yeah. And the reason you don't want to roll under necessarily is because that is a blue guard up front. So if you made a roll perfectly buried, Paul could make a run back and stick it right behind, and now you're forced to one potentially. So Brent just happy to try and play for the blank here. And Melissa and our fans may have noticed that over the weekend I've been referring to the Cseke team as the Islanders, and that's by personal choice. They of the team, I mean, not my personal choice. They've branded themselves as that because they're very active in the Victoria community. Of course, Corey and Ryan both longtime Victoria residents, and Paul's been there now for, I want to say, about 6 years, 7 years. He's originally from Salmon Arm, BC, but has moved to Victoria, and they've really embraced the Victoria Curling Club. The ice maker there, Cody Hall, is their coach, and they feel really supported by the community there, and they support the community in return. And so they've branded their team the Islanders to sort of show love for where they're from, and it's kind of cool. I think more curling teams should have a name rather than the Skip's last name. That's just my personal view.
Well, I like that too, and I can say from personal experience. So Team Czeke, they went out into the community to help anyone. When COVID first started, if there was anything, any little jobs that anyone needed from the curling, if you're a member of the curling club, you got some help. I can also say they actually came out and helped me and my strata do some work around here. So I'm pretty happy, and they didn't want anything in return. All they wanted is a little social media post and as you say, just some love. So that's what they got.
Yeah, no, it's very cool to see a curling team tie their community so closely into the fabric of their team, and it's I think something that's brought their team closer together, and it's been great to see. So Brent needs this one to stick
Oh
in the
boy.
house, and it won't. So a big opportunity here for Paul Cseke, and it's the definition of an unforced error there from Brent Pierce. He rolls out of the house, and now Paul will have a chance to get this one buried and could be looking at a steal, but really if he gets it anywhere behind that guard, Melissa, it's going to be a force.
That's right, and what a missed opportunity from Brent. We saw him miss a open hit, I believe, in the first end as well. So he's going to have a conversation with Jeff just to see if he's not throwing it the way he's expecting, or maybe not putting the broom in the right spot, because that's very unusual for Brent to be missing takeouts like that. So great chance here now for Paul Czeke. This one's all about the line, right? You have to get fully buried behind that rock. Whether it's top 8, top 4, as you say, John, it's either about forcing or potentially stealing here.
So final stone for Paul Cseke, trying to take advantage of an opportunity that he wasn't sure he was going to have. Chance to force a steal. And the sweepers are indicating it's a little heavy. So you just want to make sure, even if you're heavy, you want to make sure this is completely buried so that it forces Brent to take one. So
Great
again, a little
there
bit
by
heavy.
Corey.
Yeah, absolutely. Great brushing, but again, a little heavy from Paul Cseke. We've seen that now a couple times, so he'll want to make sure he gets that dialed in. But as you can see from that shot, the rock is perfectly buried, so not a great opportunity for a blank, and Brent's just going to draw for one.
Yeah, so job, that was the job was successful for Paul Cseke, and that's what we said at the very beginning of that shot. It's all about the line. It didn't matter where it ended up, as long as you didn't give Brent that easy opportunity, pardon me, the easy opportunity for the blank. So well done. So here we go. Brent Pierce made a ton of draws so far this game, some big, big draws, and we'll see if he can do it again.
This looks heavy. Looks like they need some backing. I don't know if they're going to find it, though. Nick Meister's backed completely off it. Will it get to that backing? Will it get to the backing? It will, but will it stick around? It will. So Brent Pierce throwing almost through the house weight, but gets saved by that Paul Cseke stone at the back house. And he will take his one. So it'll be the Islanders with hammer once again when we come back. You're watching the BC Men's Provincial Curling Championships live from Kamloops. Hello, curling fans. Welcome back to continuing coverage of the BC Men's Provincial Curling Championships. This is the 1-2 game between the Islanders, Team Cseke, and Team Jeff Richard. And Melissa, through 3 ends, is it fair to say that this has maybe been a little bit of a nervy start for both teams?
That's a great way to put it. And yeah, I'm going to agree with that. We saw Paul Cseke an opportunity for 4 in the first. He doesn't make it. Opportunity for 2 in the second. Doesn't make it. Just gets his 1. And then Jeff Richard there, or sorry, not Jeff Richard, Brent Pierce, a chance to, hit and stick on his first. He rolls out. Chance to draw. He was heavy. That rock was going through the rings, but it just clipped the blue Cseke stone and managed to stay for shot rock. So very fortunate there.
Yeah, very lucky for Brent. Overthrew his last one a little bit. And as you said before his throw, Melissa, he's been full value for his draws so far. So just getting it a little bit heavy. And maybe that's a quick spot, too. It's the same spot that Paul Cseke threw his draw in, and he was a little heavy. So maybe just a little bit of a quicker spot than both skips were expecting. But, yeah, just like we said, maybe just a little bit of nerves on both sides. These two teams played each other in the A final, and they were both looking really sharp in that game. And we just haven't quite seen that here yet. But I'm sure both teams will work their way into the game. I mean, we saw yesterday in the ladies 1-2 game, Kayla McMillan starting off the game quite slow against Marianne Arsenault. She had that day off, the same thing that was afforded to Paul Cseke by coming through the A. And by the time she got to the second half of the game, she was firing on all cylinders and came away with the W. So, it's one of those things. It's like any sport. Sometimes it can take a little while to shake it off. But once you do, and you start to work your way into the game, it gets real good, and that's what I'm expecting is going to happen here too.
I would agree, and so for team Richard right now, they have set up they're rocking the house and their guard, and you can see that the Islanders are ignoring it, trying to get all the way around. Comes up a little bit light.
So as we said, this is the men's 1-2 game. The winner of this game will move on to the final tomorrow. The loser of this game will drop down to the men's semifinal. And right now it's looking like whichever team loses this game is going to be playing Jim Cotter, as he has stolen another point on Team Tardy. So it's Jim Cotter up 5-0 on Tyler Tardy, playing the fourth end of that men's 3-4 game. And we've talked all week, Melissa, about how hard it is to come back on Jim Cotter. I think that's going to be a steep hill for Team Tardy to climb.
I would have to agree. Jim Cotter is fantastic when he has the lead. They are such great hitters, as we know. And so I really do think it's going to be a tough mountain, not just a hill, but a mountain to climb for Team Tardy.
And that's a BC mountain, not like an Ontario mountain, if you're watching. And, sometimes I grew up in Ontario, so I'm allowed to say that. We call things mountains there, but let's be honest, they're really more of a hill. So Jay Wakefield trying to make the double here, just misses that top red, but will kill the one red stone. So Brent Pierce with an opportunity to replace it and ideally make it a little bit better than that first one. So we get a look there at Jared Kolomea. We talked in the A final. He's originally from Winnipeg, Manitoba, but now calls BC home and has for the last few years. Got to get this by the center guard here. And they will not. So another opportunity here maybe for the Islanders to put some pressure on Team Richard. So we can hear there from Paul, just wanting Jay to navigate this port with sort of back 12 weight, just move that red to the back of the house, and noted that if he ticks either guard, it's not a bad situation. So we'll see if Jay can make it through the hole.
Yeah, a couple options here for sure, and ideally getting through the port is job number one, but if he doesn't, that's okay too, as long as you know which guard you want to move. So trying to get through that port. Oh, it just hits the backside of that blue stone and ends up going to the back four. Not a horrible result.
Yeah,
what they were looking for.
Yeah, I think Jay would tell you he's not super happy with that result.
No,
that
he's
red
not.
is lost. Yeah, that's that's unfortunate. And again, looked like just a case of maybe he had a little too much weight, Melissa. It just kind of hung out there a little longer than they were anticipating. Paul had called back 12 weight, and that was certainly through the house. Maybe not hack, but close to hack, it looked like.
Yeah, I think Team Czeke perhaps maybe just overthrowing some of their hits right now, and it's just a matter of trying to dial that in. So great opportunity here now for Jeff Richard and his team. We're going to hit this blue stone that's out in the open, try and roll towards the center.
And they will roll, but it will go too far. So, pardon me, this has been a bit of a struggle for both teams, but Team Richard in particular having trouble keeping the rocks in the house on hits. So that one rolls out, and another opportunity here for the Islanders to try to get themselves set up for two. So they're going to try and get rid of both of these red guards.
Yeah, I mean, you could look at the red onto blue onto red, but there's only that one blue stone in there, and you're trying not to get rid of it. So this is a great call, trying to double peel these two red stones, open up the rocks in the rings, and see if you get a chance on your next one to do something with it. Whoa, boy, that was a lot.
Yeah, a lot of things moving there, but unfortunately for them, that blue stone didn't roll to third shot. That would have been extremely helpful, but as it stands, Team Richard can kill that blue stone and lie 3 without hammer here.
Yeah, that makes such a big difference, John. You roll if that blue stone rolled to third shot, that's it's a different ball game. But great chance here now for Jeff to hit this blue Czeke stone, lie 3, put a ton of pressure back on his opposition. Oh boy.
It's another miss from Team Richard. Unfortunately for the Islanders, there's not really these misses. There's not really a great opportunity to capitalize on them.
No.
The end wasn't set up in a way where, usually if you get 2 half misses like that from a third, it means you're about to score a couple, but the Islanders still have some work to do to make that happen.
They're trying to get the hit and roll here. Get this rock over behind that other redstone if they can. Nope.
It'll roll the other way.
Such a great point you made there, John. It's like, you'd be always thanking your lucky stars if you had 2 half misses from your opposition, because like you say, that usually means that things are going well, but Team Czeke themselves also struggling a little bit to get the rocks in the right place. So, as you said, what was that comment? Nervy? Nervy?
Nervy, a
Something
nervy start, yes.
Nervy start.
So Brent Pierce just looking to hit and stick here, the stick being the operative word. Oh, is he drawing? No, okay, he's hitting, yeah. Yeah, got to make sure you stick here. Yep.
This looks good.
He will make no mistake, so it is Brent Pierce lying 2 without hammer.
Are they thinking about taking on that? That's a really difficult double if that's what they're thinking about. They could play the hit and roll off the same one, John. They could play the freeze, which I'm not sure I like that, but I like the hit and roll deep into the 8-foot behind those 2 rocks.
Yeah, exactly. Force Brent to play a tricky draw. Yeah, again, I think it's one of those things that I've played long enough. You almost feel like you should get 2 here. You sometimes just go, okay, wait a minute. We've had a pretty good end. They've had a couple misses. I feel like we should be able to make 2 happen here, and they're trying to find a way to do that. But I'm not sure there's really an obvious shot here to set them up for a deuce.
I would like to have heard their rationale, I think, for hitting, this rock here. I guess maybe they're trying to group their stones, and if Brent plays the double and rolls out, they might have the blank alive, would be my only thought.
Yeah, I think so. It's a bit of a daring Brent to maybe draw, I guess. And so they'll be sitting 2 and 3, but it is still Brent Pierce lying the 1 without the hammer. And yeah, I don't know. That doesn't really do a whole lot for Cseke, I don't think. If the only thing here is, I guess again, you're maybe making Brent think about it. You know, if he ever misses this draw, he's giving up 3, right? So,
Right.
you know, it's maybe a way of trying just to secure an easy 1, I guess, if you're Paul. But you know, Brent is, as we said, a great drawer. So I don't think Brent's going to be too scared of just having to draw the 8-foot here. As long as he's second shot with this one, I think it's not going to be a whole lot of risk.
No, it's actually very interesting, and you know, he's obviously played it for a couple of reasons, and you've pointed out what those are. But if you play the hit and roll, you force Brent into a much more difficult shot than he's got an open hit right now, or he had the open draw. So, but if you ever made that hit and roll perfect on your first, it does make Brent's shot a lot more difficult than he's doing right now. So anyway, we'll play it out. We'll see what happens here. So Brent Pierce playing the hit. I don't think I would leave 2 blue stones around either, so I like this call.
So final stone for Brent Pierce. Looking to hit and lie 2.
I think he's got to roll here a little, doesn't he, John, to get his second
Yep.
to lie 2?
Absolutely. They picked it up right away. Can't roll too far here.
Oh boy. Did it?
I think red is shot. It's close though.
I think so too. I thought he was rolling the other way.
So did I. I think Brent's concern was he didn't want to leave Paul with the double, right? He didn't want to nose it or be in that vicinity to give Paul the double for 2. So, again, our overhead camera, yeah, it looks like red, but, you know, we don't have the definitive angle up here because we're a little behind the house. So if you're Paul, I think you just kind of have to hit this one and then put a stick on it and hope you're 2, but...
Yeah, so for Paul, if Brent were to nose that, obviously, you know, I don't think it would have been in the way. He would have had maybe the chance for the hit and stick for 2. So good shot there by Paul. Good shot by Brent as well, especially if it's second shot. And we'll know that in a minute.
So final stone for Paul Cseke. Needs to make this Jeff Richard stone go away, and we'll see if it's for 1 or 2. So it's 1 for sure.
Shot.
And they're asking for a measure, so we'll take a look here. We haven't had too many measures on stream, but I think we both think it's red, Melissa?
I think it's red, yes. It's close.
Yeah, exactly. And like we say, our camera's not directly over the house, so we don't get a perfect view of it. But yeah, certainly from where I'm sitting, it does look like red. But if it is blue, that would be a big 2 for the Islanders.
Yeah, in hindsight, John, you know, it was a great call by Paul Cseke for sure, trying to force Brent Pierce to, you know, nose it and roll to a difficult spot to get that potentially second shot. So we'll see here in about 5 seconds.
Yeah, it was a good call because it really did put the sort of fear of God in Brent for drawing, because if you ever miss the draw, you give up 3. So a good call, and it might be blue. It is
It
blue.
is. Wow.
Wow. So a big 2 there for the Islanders. Brent Pierce rolls just a shade too far, and the Islanders will put 2 on the board with hammer, and it's butt slaps for Jay Wakefield as we will head into the 5th end. When we come back, you're watching the men's 1-2 game here on Curl BC TV. So welcome back, curling fans, to continuing coverage of the BC Men's Provincial Championships. You're watching the men's 1-2 game between the Islanders, Paul Cseke and Jeff Richard. And Melissa, it was a nice piece of strategy from Jay Wakefield and Paul Cseke there in the 4th end that gets their 2, and they now have a 1-point lead, 3-2.
Well, John, I think I've just proven to myself I'm not a morning person after all. I couldn't get my brain around the fact of what he was trying to play there, but what a fantastic call by the Islanders to roll to the exact spot where Brent had to make a very, very difficult shot to try and hit and roll to second shot. And you know, you could have rolled the other way and definitely had a little bit more room to roll, but he you know, he was what, you know, a tenth of a millimeter off by being perfect on that shot. So great job there by the Islanders, and great job for Paul Cseke to make that open hit for 2 points.
Yeah, absolutely. Just some nice strategy, and like we say too, you know, there was always the option for Brent to draw to lie too. But the issue there, if you're Brent, is if you miss the draw, you're giving up 3. So really,
Exactly.
really put the onus on Brent to roll that rock to a perfect spot. And you know, it's cliche to say this is a game of inches, but quite literally, Brent missing by a tenth of an inch, and that was enough to put the 2 on the board for the Islanders. So we'll see if Jeff Richard and his team can get themselves back into it here. It's been a close battle, but I think it's fair to say the Islanders have had more control of most of the ends, and it's just been a matter of capitalizing on some of their opportunities, Melissa.
Yeah, that's a good point. You know, they've had, and I'm not sure, I feel like they have some control. I'm not sure if control is the right word, but definitely they've had a lot of opportunities, and opportunities that they haven't made the best use of. So, you know, both teams kind of going back and forth, and that was a huge point for Team Czech, and so Brent Pierce now going to try and find a way to get his deuce back here in the 5th end.
In the other men's game happening right now, Tyler Tardy finally finding his way to the scoreboard, picking up a deuce in the 4th. So it's Jim Cotter up 5-2 with hammer. They're playing the 5th end. They're about a half end ahead of us, so we'll do our best to keep you updated. And that is a mistake from Jay Wakefield, as he will slide that all the way through the rings. There's a chance to lie 2 buried. But Jay hasn't, I don't think he's thrown a draw yet, Melissa, or if he has, it's been a while. So could just be a case of not really knowing the draw weight yet. But this will give Team Richard an opportunity here.
And I'm just going to be, I'm going to be a little bit harsh, John. You know, when you say not knowing the draw weight, the ice has been so fantastic all week, as we know, and it's been running very, very similar from start to finish. So it's just a matter of Jay just dialing in the weight that he knows it is from previous games, and that's just an unforced error, a big mistake by Jay Wakefield. So sorry to harp on Jay, but
no, yeah, it's okay.
You know.
I'm not trying to make excuses for anybody out here. I'm just trying to explain to the viewer why that might have been a missed shot. I'm not
Fair
saying
enough,
that
fair enough.
I'm not saying that he shouldn't have made it, because he definitely should have, or he certainly shouldn't have gone through the house. That's for sure. And so Jared Kolomea making a nice double run back there and moving the play away from the center, but still an opportunity here for the Islanders to lie two without Hammer. I believe they're trying to come into the top 12 here.
Yeah, I
Oh, no,
think
they're
so. And,
guarding.
oh, are they? Okay. So this is like an
Sounds like
opportunity
it.
for Jay to have gone to school on his first and figure out the draw weight here. I know, I'm just being harsh.
It's okay. So yeah, this is a little heavy as well. So this will give Jared Kolomea a chance to make the double and pretty much fully eliminate the threat from the Islanders to start out this end.
Yeah, great shot by Jared on his first, and now a great opportunity here as well. Make the double, and I think Brent Pierce, if things go the way they may go after this double is attempted, he'd be pretty happy with a blank here. Try and get things going in the sixth end if things don't pan out.
Yeah, I think given the way this end started, he'd be thrilled to get out of this end with a blank. It was pretty much a perfect setup for the Islanders after lead stones, but an uncharacteristic miss there from Jared Kolomea. He's a great hitter, and just it didn't quite curl enough for them. So an opportunity now for Corey Chester to make a hit here and lie two and potentially keep the force in play for his team.
Yeah, I would love to keep the shooter in play, as you say.
Needs that to hang on, and it won't.
I heard the word sorry. I'm not sure if that was, Ryan jumping on the rock too soon or just maybe a missed call or maybe just a bit too much weight, just a combination of those three things probably.
Yeah, we've seen the teams roll out, both teams roll out on hits quite a bit so far this game, Melissa, and maybe just a case of, like we said, nerves maybe overthrowing these rocks a little bit, but it does seem like both teams may be having a bit of trouble getting the broom in the right spot for these hits. So that will roll to the open. It's in the back 12, and I don't know if you got the email, Melissa, but it is time you can now check in
I did it.
online.
I
You can check.
did.
Yeah, you can check in online and let us know if you're checking a bag as well. It will be an additional fee, but we might be
Oh
taking a
boy.
flight to We might be taking a flight to Blanksville here.
We're taking a flight this time. I like that. I get there faster.
We're flying. Yeah, we're flying.
Nice.
In this world I've constructed, Blanksville is further away from us than it usually is. Normally you can get there by train or car or hitchhiking, I think we even had. But in this scenario, we have to get on a plane. So they certainly want this one to stick around. Don't want to give the Islanders an opportunity to go behind that corner guard, and they will.
Oh, wow.
So Jeff Richard once again rolling out on a hit, and maybe I'm going to rescind that check-in, Melissa.
Well, I haven't got to the gate yet, so there's a chance.
So Paul Cseke getting ready here for a draw around the corner guard. I guess the key here, Melissa, is that you never want to slip too deep and give Brent maybe an opportunity for two.
No, that's a great point. Must be T-line or above here if you're coming around this corner guard. see the rock now starting to make its break. It's getting by that guard by about 2 feet.
Yeah, it's got to curl a mile. And so it won't quite get buried. So I think Brent will have the opportunity here to just hit and roll. Hit and roll away, I should say. If you're Brent, I guess, Melissa, you just want to be making sure you're rolling as far away from that corner guard as possible.
I think so, John. I don't think you want to give Team Czech a second opportunity to get in behind a hit and rolling behind that guard. So for Brent, just rolling towards the center line will do. Main thing is here he doesn't hit and roll out, of course.
So first stone here for Brent Pierce in what's been a pretty quiet fifth end. Looking to preserve the opportunity for a blank with his last one. Looking for a hit and roll. Got to get by that guard. This is really curling. Will it roll behind the guard now? Not a bad plan B if you're Brent Pierce. He was trying to roll the other way, and now 2 is
That's
potentially in play. Yeah.
Oh,
so
boy.
for Paul now it's a decision. You could freeze onto this red one or just be somewhere in front of it. You could chase it with a hit like he's doing here. You could throw the run back. And so it looks like he's electing to play out into the sticks here.
Yeah, this is one of my least favorite shots in the world, specifically because you have an opposition stone about a foot or 2 outside of the rings. So you haven't seen any rocks out here. You're throwing a softer hit, like look where he's got the broom. Now his front end did indicate that you can see almost all of it from the hack. But I almost like a little heavier weight here and just pick it, to be honest.
Tricky shot here for Paul. Ryan Cassidy picking it up right away.
It's one of my least favorite shots in the world, I gotta tell you.
Yeah. Trying to make this one stick around, and they do. Fantastic shot from Paul Cseke. Yeah, like you say, Melissa, a lot of ways you can miss that one, and if you ever come tight on that guard, you maybe raise it into the house and give them 3. So Paul Cseke with a really great shot there. One of those ones that I think if you're a casual curler, you maybe don't understand the degree of difficulty there, but certainly not easy. And this one will be a little easier for Brent because he's trying to roll out. So blank opportunity here for Team Richard. So final stone, Brent Pierce looking for the blank. And they will make no mistake. A little early panic from Brent Pierce, but he makes it go away all the same. We'll put a 0 up on the scoreboard. Brent Pierce will have the hammer. When we come back, we're going to take a little 3-minute break, and then we hope you'll join us for a special presentation here in the 5th end break. You're watching the Curl BC Men's Provincial Curling Championships live from Kamloops.
Hello. The spirit of curling is defined by sportsmanship. Ideas like courtesy, honor, and fairness form the bedrock of our sport, both on and off the ice. More than any other pastime, curling celebrates good conduct and creates a bond that keeps us all not only honest, but genuinely helpful to others. Named for an avid curler and past president of the BC Curling Association, the Kay Giles Award, Sportsmanship Award, symbolizes the bond between sportsmanship we all share and celebrates exemplary behavior on the ice and beyond. The award is presented annually at the BC Scotties Women's Curling Championship to the most sportsmanlike player and is especially meaningful as it is selected by her peers. It is my great pleasure to bestow this year's award to someone who values friendship over victory, togetherness over division, and great curling over good curling. The winner this year is Grace McInnes of Team Gushalak. Congratulations, and thank you for setting such a great example for all of us.
So there you have it, Grace McInnes, the winner of the Kay Giles Award. Thanks to Linda Bolton, co-chair of this event, for presenting that award. And Melissa, that's been a long time award given out at the BC Scotties. And as a player, what does it mean to win something like that, a sportsmanship award? You know, we typically think about the All-Star Awards, the On-Ice Awards, but what does it mean to a player to win something like that?
I think it means everything, to be honest. I mean, this is voted on by your peers, and those are your competitors, and to know that other competitors and other teams think that highly of you and that respectful of you, I think that's very cool. I
Yeah,
can say,
I
John,
would
that I've
agree.
never won one.
I mean, I certainly was never a candidate for one of those either. If they had an award for most swear word plus broom bang combo, then maybe I would win that. But yeah, this is it's definitely an honor. We know we talked to Jim Cotter, the men's winner yesterday,
Hmm.
and he sort of echoed some of those sentiments that you just said, Melissa. And I know you know, I've curled around Grace for a long time, and I've known her for a long time, and she's just an awesome person and a great curler. So not surprising to see her nominated by her
No.
peers for that award, and I'm sure it means a lot to her as we get back here to our men's 1-2 game. It's the Islanders Team Cseke against Team Jeff Richard. And Melissa, I'll just start right out with some stats because we can see on the scoreboard it's 3-2 for the Islanders, and the close game is reflected in the stats. We have the team percentages for the Islanders; they're sitting at 82.5%, and for Team Richard, they're sitting at 80%. So that's a pretty
Wow.
good indication of how close this game has been between both teams.
Exactly. And you know, there's been some great shot making, there's been some half shots, but both teams struggling a little bit, as we mentioned before, maybe with that, you know, the hit and sticks, like whether Team Czech is just overthrowing a little bit and Team Richard just hitting and rolling out on some of those rocks that you just wouldn't expect them to do that. So I'm expecting some great things here by both teams. They're going to be bringing their A game now for this last five ends of this all important 1-2 game.
Yeah, one positional battle shaping up right now that's being dominated by the Islanders is at the third position. Corey Chester currently throwing 87.5%, an incredibly impressive number for a third, and Jeff Richard at 65% for Team
Wow.
Richard. So far that gap has not shown up on the scoreboard, but certainly Jeff Richard will be looking to have a better second half of the game because usually if you lose the third battle, you know, by 20%, your chances are pretty good you're going to be losing the game.
Yeah, most definitely. That's a big percentage, as you say, John. So great chance here now. Team Czeka has this set up. They put up the corner, or sorry, the center guard have come around. And Team Richard, we've seen this numerous times. They like to make that, when they have hammer, make that play off to the side. So they've got a Nick Meister put up a nice corner guard, came around, and Czeka ignoring it. They're going to try and put another one simply because that first Ryan Cassidy stone is just ever so deep. So they're going to try and put one maybe top 8, top 4, fully buried behind that center guard and try and put pressure on Brent Pierce and his team.
And very nice shot from Jay Wakefield. We saw him struggle with his
Great
draw weight
shot.
a little bit last end, and that's a great rebound for him right there. And speaking of Ryan Cassidy, he is currently the high man on both teams, curling 95% so far this game.
Wow.
So
Great.
some might call those John Cullen-esque numbers. And the some who would call them that is me.
Yeah, I was just gonna say sorry, and I even laughed out loud. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, you know, that's okay. It's me and my mom are the two people who would call those John Cullen-esque numbers. Ryan has, as we said, he was a BC junior champion back in 2013, and then left the game for a while. And this is really his first sort of foray into competitive men's play. And I've been really impressed with him all week. He's obviously fits in really well with this team's vibe, but also just super impressed with his shot making and sweeping.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. And you know, these Islanders have worked really, really hard. Of course, many teams have, and don't get me wrong, but I've got to witness some of their off-ice training this past season, and Ryan jumping right on the train. He was all in there, you know, trying to manage school, trying to manage his firefighting, but also 100% committed to doing everything he could for this team. And I think that hard work is paying off as we can see it.
Yeah, absolutely. We've talked a little bit about it before. The Islanders had, you know, their struggles this year. They were a little up and down, particularly to start the year, and they all sort of point to that turning point of Jay Wakefield taking over in the house as Jared Kolomea makes a very nice shot there to get those two rocks off the center line. Although it is still the Islanders sitting two without Hammer here. But yeah, they point to that turning point after the Kamloops, actually the event here, the Kamloops Crown of Curling, where they struggled. They sort of pointed to, you know, maybe that being a case where if Jay could take over as skip, that might sort of turn things around for them. And yeah, it really has. They've really come on in the second half of the season, and seems like they're peaking at the right time. We always talk about teams wanting to do that, and it certainly looks like that's what they're doing here this week.
Yeah, and they've got a fifth player in Ty Russell. He's played quite a few events as well for the team, just because, you know, whoever couldn't make it, whether it be Ryan or Jay, I think. So opportunity to bring Ty in, and he's here with them this week, and he's really able to round out the entire team. And we probably don't know that name very well. He played a lot in juniors. He hasn't really played much in men's, but he's been a great addition to this team as well as Cody Hall.
Yeah, absolutely. Been working very hard as a six-man unit, and I know Paul told me that Ty was sort of their guy in charge of analytics. He's been doing a lot of work on the stats side of things for the team, and I know talking with both Paul and Jay this week, they said that they really can't overstate how big he's been for them. And I know, having played with Paul for a decade, he's the type of guy who's always looking for an edge, always wants to be you know, always wants to be doing the right things, and he always wants to be where the game is heading. And so I'm sure Ty has been helping him a lot with that. And of course you need it when you're playing teams in this field like Brent Pierce, you know, has so much experience. Jim Cotter has so much experience, you know, when maybe you don't have that big game experience, Melissa, you have to try and find a way to get that edge.
Exactly. Well said.
So Jeff looking for a run back, and he will make it. And so even though it is the Islanders sitting two, Melissa, those two Reds in the house, starting to get a little bit dangerous here if you're the Islanders.
Yeah, I would be a little concerned, I think, if I was the Islanders right now without the Hammer here in the sixth end. And as you said, John, they're sitting two for sure. That's great, but Corey's going to have to put a perfect guard here, I think, because, you know, you never want to allow Team Richard to get those other two red stones to count here. And it's going to take a couple shots to get rid of the blue stones for sure. But now rock placement is even more crucial for Team Cseke.
So Paul trying to bring this over for Corey Chester. Got to make sure you guard this red stone. And Paul will finish that, no problem. So Corey Chester making a nice guard.
Great brushing there by Paul.
Yeah, that's we're seeing some of that training there. You don't usually see Skip sweeping, and you certainly don't see him sweeping that well. But of course, Paul, a longtime third and front end player even before that, so he can certainly sweep with the best of them and finishes that rock beautifully there. So big shot here for Jeff Richard is, you know, you're maybe starting to run out of time a little bit here if you're Team Richard. Got to start making a play on those shot stones, which is what they're trying to do here.
He's on and off, so he's got to be really close to making this perfect.
Great
Nice
shot
shot
from Jeff.
Beautiful
And
shot.
that
Well
is
called by Brent.
Yeah, absolutely. That is a lonely blue in the house there now. We started talking about those reds starting to stack up, and we're seeing that here. We talked about Jeff Richard maybe not having the best first half of the game, but he makes two beauties there. So this is a pretty critical shot here.
Yeah, and I don't think there's really much option, in all honesty. You can only see a couple of inches, or maybe half a stone of that one on the right behind that blue guard, and I don't think the risk is worth it. They've originally looked at trying to hit that and spin their rock towards the rock that's buried behind those guards. But I think right now you need to go for the higher percentage shots. So Paul Cseke going to hit this open one, maybe try and sneak in a little underneath.
Yeah, the key here is you just have to be second shot when this is all said and done. So just a little hack weight hit here. Maybe trying for a little flop underneath.
Great
that's
shot.
a pretty good spot. Yeah, that's a pretty good spot. I don't know if that lined up to double on the blues, though. I think that's what Paul's a little nervous about.
Well, I think it curled more, like it rolled to a pretty good spot, I think. We'll have a look at it when we see it from the front end. Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't know if Brent runs that blue one onto that red. Is that an automatic double on those blues or no? I'm not sure. I just think that's maybe what Paul was concerned about. But you can see there,
I think so.
That blue stone is wide open for Brent now, so he can also just hit and roll underneath that whole pile if he so chooses.
Trying to get a listen into what they're saying. Can't quite hear, but I mean there are two options, John, as you've pointed out. That you can play the run back on the blue, try and get the double, or you can hit the open one and maybe flip underneath yourself. But I think the worry for Brent there is that likely it would be behind the tee line, and would that give an opportunity to Paul Cseke to freeze to it? So I think that's their worry.
In any case, an excellent shot by Paul. The Reds were starting to stack up in the house, and he had to make that shot well, and he did. So it looks like they've decided to run that guard.
I think so.
So you could hear them say, you could hear Brent say he wants to hit it just a hair high, so just a little bit to the left side of nose as we're looking at it. And I like this call, Melissa. I think even if you don't get both blues, I think it's important to get the play maybe a little bit off of the center, maybe scatter those blues in the house a little bit.
I agree. So I like this call as well.
Yeah, I like it too. You just got to make sure you hit some stuff in the house. You never would want a straight peel here. Is that going to go right through the hole? Nope. And that's what Paul
Oh,
was worried
what a
about.
shot!
That's what Paul was worried about. They did end up lining up that double, and now it's Team Richard lying 2 with the hammer here in the 6th. What a shot from Brent Pierce.
It was so quiet. It was like I don't know if they thought they didn't have it because they weren't really saying anything. What a fantastic shot by Brent Pierce.
Yeah, one of those ones, you know, especially as a commentator, you hear when you hear the yeah, whoa, then you're like, okay,
Yeah.
they're pretty close. And then I heard nothing, and Nick Meister was trying to get it to curl, so that's why I was like, oh, are they just going to blast it through the hole? And then literally as I'm saying that, Brent makes a 10 out of 10 shot.
Exactly.
But yeah, hey, you know, sometimes that's the way you got to do it. Just casual, walk up there and make it. And so the pressure back on Paul Cseke here. I think he'd love to get a little roll inside and make Brent Pierce's life difficult for 2 on his last. So final stone here for Paul Cseke. Ryan Cassidy picking this up right away. And he does make a nice roll. I think Brent Pierce will have some access at it, but nice shot from Paul Cseke. So
yeah,
yeah,
great
you get a
brushing
good look
there
at
by
it there.
Ryan.
Almost
yeah, you can see
perfectly
enough,
buried.
I think.
But yes, exactly. You can see just enough here. So just looking for back 12 weight. Just need to move that blue far enough to score 2. Brent Pierce with a phenomenal shot on his first to set this up, but he's going to have to make another good one here. This is no gimme. They are on it right away. Nick Meister trying to hold it past this guard. Can they get it by? Will they get it by? They will not. So Brent Pierce slides tight, racks on the guard, and a great rescue shot from Paul Cseke goes up on the board. The Islanders will take a 4-2 lead into the 7th. When we come back, you're watching the BC Men's Provincial Championship live on Curl BC TV. Hello, folks, and welcome back to continuing coverage of the BC Men's Provincial Curling Championships live from the Kamloops Curling Club here in beautiful Kamloops, British Columbia. It's cold outside, but the action in here is starting to heat up as Paul Cseke makes a fantastic shot, Melissa, on his last in the 6th to force Brent into a very tough shot for 2 on his last, which he missed, and it's now a 2-point lead for the Islanders.
Yeah, very unfortunate there for Brent. I think he just slid a bit tight and couldn't get it back to the broom. You saw him trying to get it back to the broom, and Nick Meister on it right away. And unfortunately, even the powerful Nick Meister couldn't hold that one for Brent. So that is a big point, as you say, John, for Team Czeka. It's been a tight game, as you can see from the scoreboard there, and this is the first 2-point lead here that either team has had. So it's a big point here in the sixth end.
Yeah, no question about it. Keeps Cseke with the hammers in the even ends if that's the way the rest of the game goes. And as I said, when Brent got in the hack, certainly the shot was there, but it wasn't a gimme. You had to throw pretty delicate weight, and you had to move it back far enough. And yeah, like you said, Melissa, I think unfortunately for Brent, just slid a little bit tight there, couldn't get the rock back to the broom, and that's a lot of momentum now on the side of the Islanders. They got a really good 2 in the 4th, and then a big steal in the 6th, and they're set up really well here in the 7th. Once again, we talked about Ryan Cassidy having a great game, and he continues that here in the 7th. So if you're Brent here, Melissa, you're down 2, you've got hammer, still 4 ends to come. Is this a case where you start to really sell out to get 2 here, or are you okay if you end up getting forced to 1?
I think if you're Brent, you're going to go pretty hard for your 2, as he's got lots of experience behind him. We know that, and he likes to play, with rocks in play. He's going to do what he needs to do for the first half of the game, and then I think if it gets too uncomfortable, which it looks like it is for him right now, he's going to start making some bailout shots. And I think right now with those 3 stones of Team Czeka's in the middle, I think I think they have no opportunity here but to get rid of these, to be honest. You got your 2 corner guards up, you can't really use them.
Yeah, and I think they were hoping to throw a guard on Jays, and it just went a little bit heavy, and we see there Jared, unfortunately, just throwing that one a little bit wide. That's the Ric Flair we were talking about, Benny Heebs. I listened to a little bit of his and John Morris's commentary from the other night. I liked that one. A little Ric Flair there from Jared Colomea. So unfortunately, he only picks the top one, and it's now a chance for Jay to get that guard in the right spot.
Yeah, you can feel a little bit of the momentum swing right now, John. Again, both teams, not curling 100% by any means, but really battling back and forth and being a really tight game. That's kind of the first shot that we've missed, that kind of gave that change in momentum. That's a big, huge point, as I've already mentioned. So you can feel a little bit of that momentum. It's going to be up to Brent Pierce now and his team to try and stop Team Czeka from gathering any more going forward. So I think it looks like they're very comfortable here with just playing, trying to clean things up. They tried to get their corner guards up, but they're not comfortable, as you mentioned, right off the top of this end. They're not going to be comfortable only getting 1 here.
So really nice shot there from Jared Colomea. A good rebound shot as he gets that guard off the center and gets rid of one of the Blues in the house. So fantastic shot there from Jared. And now it's the Islanders just trying to guard that single rock here in the forefoot. Paul with a little boot there. So the option here, Corey Chester didn't guard that one perfectly, so Brent giving Jeff the option of maybe playing like a hack weight come around or a run, and Jeff just deciding to play the run here.
And I like this, and you just have to look,
and he'll
what
make
a shot
no mistake.
by Jeff.
So
you
great
have to be
shot.
careful now if you're the Islanders, right? There's 4 guards up there, so, and they're not your rocks.
Yeah, that's certainly the concern.
Yeah, great call there by Brent. I really like the run there. Jeff making no mistake, so it's going to be important, and regardless of where Corey puts this, you know, with those red stones out front, Team Richard's going to have an opportunity to run some stones back if they can't see this one.
Want to make sure you get this one buried. Don't want to give Team Richard a chance to hit and roll. And nice finish there from Ryan Cassidy. So they do get that one buried. But now, like you said, Melissa, the opportunity here with all these guards up front to maybe generate a 2 if you're Team Richard.
I thought maybe they'd throw the run back again, and you've got a little bit of room to roll the other way to be fully buried.
I agree. I was expecting them to throw the run as well. But this is a good shot too, especially if you make it.
Not much of a broom to this at all.
This looks heavy.
Oh boy.
And Jay Wakefield will bring that one back into the back 12-foot. And again, Melissa, we've seen that all week long. If you're just a little bit heavy, it doesn't catch the curl. And it's a bit of a catch-22, right? Because, you know, you throw it and it's maybe not that much heavier than the draw that you need to get to the right spot. But it's like just being that little bit heavier, it doesn't catch the curl. And of course, we know when rocks catch the curl, they slow down. So you don't catch the curl, but it also doesn't slow down in the way that you think it might. And so it's a bit of a double-edged sword there. And that was certainly a huge miss from Jeff Richard.
Yeah, he's definitely not happy with that. And you're right, it's a matter of an inch, right? If it's an inch more inside, it will catch the curl and slow down and probably would have been perfect weight. So just an unfortunate situation there for Jeff. So great opportunity here now for Paul Cseke to try and put a second stone in behind that red guard. Again, line is of most importance here, John.
Yeah, it looked like they didn't even want to come directly to it because then you worry about the run back. So they just want to leave this one a little short. If you can be second shot, that's great. And that is a perfect spot from Paul.
That's a wonderful spot right there.
Yeah. So yeah, just to get back to what I was saying, some people might think, okay, well, you just want to put another one in the 4-foot here. But if you do that, and especially if the blues are staggered, Brent would have a nose run back, get rid of both of the blues, and he'd be lying 2 buried. So by leaving this one a little short, you're still second shot, but it makes Brent's run back all that more complicated. So big shot here for Brent Pierce, Melissa. He needs to make contact with at least one of these blues.
Yeah, for sure. He's maybe taking an extra couple seconds in the hack here. He knows the importance of this shot. Brent Pierce trying the run back. Would love to get the double, but at least move those 2 blue stones. He's close.
Great shot. And will that stick around to lie 2?
It will.
Oh my gosh, Brent Pierce.
What a shot by Brent Pierce.
Dialing up the old run back magic.
I think it's in.
Yeah, we'd have to take a look. Oh yeah, that's in for sure.
Oh, I think it's in for sure. Oh, well.
Maybe. I mean, that other angle, it looked like it was in. I mean, it certainly seems like the Islanders are thinking it's in.
What an incredible shot by Brent. I think that's called cleanup on aisle 5, isn't it?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, certainly a phenomenal shot from Brent Pierce. Like we said, dialing up a little bit of that old third magic as he's made a couple huge run backs in the last 2 ends to give himself an opportunity here. I didn't think there was any way he could get the double and stick. That was
No,
incredible because
no way.
he didn't throw full peel. I think that's why. He kind of threw like a normal. But in any case, Paul Cseke now has to make a big double back to not give up 2. Final stone here in the 7th. Ryan Cassidy picking this up right away. It looks like it's over curling. But can they roll it in front of it? They will not. And so Brent Pierce reached into his bag of tricks and found a little rabbit in there, and he pulled it out of the hat. Phenomenal shot on his first one, and so now it's a draw for 2. So final stone for Brent Pierce here in the 7th. Just needs to hit paint for a deuce. And the sweepers like it. Jeff Richard in the house likes it. And I think Brent Pierce will like it too. So didn't look like 2 was ever on the board for Brent Pierce, but a phenomenal shot on his first does indeed secure that all-important 2. We've got a tie game. The Islanders will have the hammer when we come back. It's 4-4. You're watching the 1-2 game in the BC Men's Championships live on Curl BC TV. Welcome back, curling fans. You're watching continuing coverage of the BC Men's Provincial Curling Championships live on Curl BC TV. John Cullen alongside Melissa Saligo as we take in this men's 1 versus 2 game. And Melissa, I mean, this has just been a back and forth game all game, and last end, is it fair to say, I don't want to overstate it, but maybe a bit of a game-saving shot by Brent Pierce? Because I think if Cseke steals in that end, they've got all the momentum moving forward, and they're really, starting to grow into the game. But Brent Pierce makes that phenomenal shot, and they end up putting 2 on the board.
Well, I don't think you're exaggerating at all. I do think that was a game saver, and the reason I say that is that miss from Brent Pierce in the previous end to give up that steal of 1. You could see the momentum building for Team Cseke, and neither of us thought you could ever in a million years roll that shooter on. But Brent Pierce says, no way. This is, he misses that one. That just shows his experience. He brought everything to the table for that shot. He didn't even throw peel on it. And he made an incredible shot to save his team and to save his team from giving up any kind of steal there. And not only that, but gets a deuce on the board. So incredible shot. I just can't say that enough, I'll tell you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. One of the best shots we've seen all week. And like you said, didn't overthrow it, just threw like an up normal double. And throwing that weight was the key. That certainly allowed him to keep that shooter in play, and that was huge. I mean, like you say, Melissa, not only not a steal, but even only getting 1 there for Pierce, you'd think would keep the momentum in the Islanders' corner. They'd be up 1 with hammer in the 8th, and so yeah, just a it's once again gut check time here for the Islanders. This has been a few times now where maybe the game looked like the scales were going to tip in their favor, and they didn't. So, so yeah, now they're really trying to get after it here. And in other men's action, as we said, this is the 1-2 game. The winner of this game will advance to Sunday's BC men's final, and the loser will drop down to play the 3 versus 4 game winner. And that is looking more and more like it's going to be Jim Cotter as he scores another 2 in the 7th end to take an 8-3 lead over number 1 seed Tyler Tardy. So it's been a great year for Tyler, but it could all be coming to an end here for him at the provincials, as he's now down 5 and really up against it against Jim.
We've talked about that quite a bit, John, that you have a great season between the September and December time frame, and that's exactly what Tyler Tardy did, where Team Cotter didn't play in as many events. But this is the week that matters right now. You're trying to peak during this week and get yourself to that all-important show at the Briar. And unfortunately for Team Tardy, they've been struggling a little bit on and off this week. So good for Team Cotter. I think we've seen them play a couple of times, and they just seem to be getting better and better and better as the week goes on.
Yeah, I was talking with Ryan Harnden a little bit over text, the lead for Team Brad Jacobs, and he was asking me about, he's been following all week, and he was sort of asking me about what was going on in the Cotter Tardy game, and I said yesterday we were starting to see playoff Jim, and that's a vision I've seen both in real life and in my nightmares. There's just something about Jim Cotter at the BC Provincials. It doesn't really seem to matter what's going on in his curling game at the moment. He just always seems to find his best game at the Provincials, and particularly as the week goes on. And I think particularly, Melissa, we watched that C qualifier last night, Jim against Sebastian Robillard, and really Jim Cotter and his whole team were just absolutely electric. They weren't missing anything, and I'm sure we haven't been watching the Cotter Tardy game, but I can only imagine that's where he's at this morning too. And playoff Jim is dangerous, that's for sure.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. So nice guard there by Team Richard. An opportunity here for Jay Wakefield to try and peel it. He would like to catch the other blue one too, as Paul was indicating. Try and clean up the front a little.
He won't fully get it off of there, but moves it off of the center line at least. And so, yeah, Brent Pierce will continue to replace it. One of those situations here, Melissa, where it's kind of good for both teams, right? You've got, obviously Team Richard sitting the shot stone and guarding it. They're probably feeling pretty good about that. But you also have the Islanders lying second and third shot, so they probably feel pretty good about that too.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I think right now, if you look at that exact scenario that you just outlined, there's a little bit more pressure on Team Richard because they need to put these guards in the absolute perfect spot. If you make one mistake here, it does open the door for Team Cseke. Right now, Team Cseke, all they need to do is keep peeling that front and hope for a half miss even by Team Richard.
So looking for the peel once again from third Corey Chester. Just still proving elusive for them. They're having no trouble getting rid of one of them, but can't seem to find that double peel. And so we're going to see a replay of the last 3 shots here for Team Richard, just putting that guard up.
Jared got on that one right away, as you saw, John, trying to keep the line out there as long as possible. Now Nick will do his magic to try and get it to curl towards the center. This looks fantastic here. No problem.
Yeah, I've never played with Jeff, but I've certainly played against him a number of times, and he does have a little bit of a softer release. He throws a little less rotation than most curlers, and he lets it go a little soft. And so I could imagine if you're sweeping for him, sometimes when he lets it go, you probably think, oh shoot, you know, he got a little soft on that one, but that's just the way he throws, and I think that's maybe what we saw there from Jared. And there we go.
It is. Great shot.
The Islanders get that double peel they've been seeking.
They've been waiting for that, absolutely.
Yeah. We'll see if it's maybe too little too late, but in any case, it certainly helps take the steal out of the equation.
So change of game plan here now, or end plan here for obviously Team Richard. They're likely going to look at trying to hit that bluestone that's top 8, roll to second shot, you know, off to the side, and make any double opportunity very difficult on Team Cseke. I mean, they could throw another guard and try and continue to steal. I'm not sure that would be the best choice at this time. Key here is that the shooter remains second shot.
Yeah, absolutely. Can't give Cseke an opportunity to be hitting that one in the 4-foot and having that be the having the one in the 12-foot become the second counter. So another big shot here for Brent. Again, we've talked about shots like this. They're not gimmies, you know. You on its face, you think open hit, but you got to make this one pretty precise. You can't jam and you can't roll too far. So tricky little shot here coming up for Brent. Looking to lie two without hammer. And once again on this out turn, Nick Meister picking it up immediately. And he is not coming off of this. You can't jam. You just can't jam here. And he gets really close, but he doesn't do it. Great sweep from Nick Meister. And that's a couple times now, Melissa, we've seen on that out turn, Brent just coming a little bit tight. And so it's an opportunity back here for the Islanders if Paul can make this double and have them lying too. We can see the Islanders logo there on Paul's shirt, inspired by the New Zealand All Blacks logo, the bird feather there. So looking to make the double and just roll a little bit to the left as you're looking at it here.
And it's interesting, you have a look at that and you know, they spent a bit of time just talking about which way to roll, and I think the reason they're going to roll towards their redstone to try and make a steep angle and a more difficult double opportunity for Brent Pierce. If they roll away, it almost creates an easier double, and that's why they're choosing to do what they do. But the number one job here is obviously is to get the double first.
Got to get that back one, and they won't.
Oh boy.
So unfortunate miss there for Paul Cseke. Like you said, Melissa, sometimes you can get a little bit wrapped up in getting the perfect roll and you don't get the double. And so unfortunately, unfortunately for Paul, that's what happened. The one thing that's working in the Islanders' favor here is that they're not likely to give up a steal.
No, and that's a big shot, though. You know, going back to that, You know, they spent the time talking about the draw, or sorry, the roll. They didn't spend the time on where to hit it to get the double, and you know, and that's fine, right? You obviously the roll was really, really important, but the number one job, of course, was to get the double. So opportunity here back now in Team Richards' court.
I have to say, I'm a little surprised they're talking freeze here.
I am too, actually.
I guess they're just nervous that if they nose that blue one, that second shot, it's an easy double for Paul for two, I guess is the thought. But, I mean, this is a much tougher shot than the hit.
And it doesn't look from the overhead, if he nosed it, that it would be that easy of a double. I mean, no double is a gimme for sure. Because you still have to get past that blue one, so I'm not sure. I kind of like the hit myself.
Yeah, I just think it's
But
an
they've
easier
elected.
shot. There's a lot that can
I
go
do.
wrong here. This could over curl. This could come up short, could come up heavy. So, and you're not stealing. It's not like you're making this shot to steal.
No.
So it's a little
Right.
confusing, but we'll see if Brent can put it together here. Final stone here in the 8th. Sweepers like the weight so far.
T-line back four. That sounds like perfect weight.
Don't want this to over curl.
Oh, and I think it has. Will it be second shot? I don't think
Nope.
so.
It will not, and that's exactly what we talked about, Melissa. Just a bit of a bizarre call from Brent Pierce there.
I totally agree. I just don't know why you wouldn't throw the hit there. You know, Brent was really strong on his draws in the first half and, you know, kind of hitting and rolling out a little bit, but in the second half, he's been outstanding on his hits and struggled a couple of times with those draws. So unfortunately for Brent Pierce, just over curling and a huge, huge opportunity here now for Paul Cseke to put two on the board in the 8th end.
Yeah, the all-important 8th end. This is a massive two. And Paul Cseke will make no mistakes. So Brent Pierce with an uncharacteristic miss on his last one opens the door for the Islanders. A huge 2 in the 8th. They'll take a 6-4 lead into the 9th end. You're watching the BC Men's Provincial Curling Championships live from Kamloops, BC. Hello, folks, and welcome back to continuing coverage of the BC Men's Provincial Curling Championships. This is the 1-2 game live from Kamloops, BC. You're watching the 1-2 game between Team Paul Cseke, the Islanders, up against Team Jeff Richard. And Melissa, you know, as a commentator, you hate to harp on strategy decisions, but it does just feel like a pretty massive mistake there, mental mistake from Brent Pierce and Team Richard there in the 8th end.
I couldn't agree more. I really don't know why he didn't throw the hit there. You know, even if he freezes perfect, it's still a shot for one. If you hit, which is, you know, again, we talk about it over and over and over again, what is the easier of the two shots? And to me, the open hit and stick was definitely easier than the perfect freeze. And like you said, John, even if he hit and stuck, I really don't think there was a double there or any opportunity for them to get two. So I guess they were worried maybe about hitting and rolling towards their other redstone and setting up the double that way. I'm not really sure.
Yeah, just an interesting play, that's for sure. And I think we've talked about this earlier in the week. You don't want to have to make low percentage, high difficulty shots just to force, right? Like you want, when you're
Right.
making those really tough shots, you want it to be either to set yourself up for a steal or to set yourself up for a multiple score. And so to me, making a really difficult freeze, it's a path you haven't really played at all. You know, deciding to do that is just to force your opponent is really difficult. And I think Brent had a couple options too. He could have hit that one, and then Paul would have had a choice. He could have gone for that really tough flat double, or he may have, given that it was the 8th end, Melissa, he might have just hit the open one and took one. Like, I would not have been surprised at all to see Paul not even try to take on that double. It wasn't easy. Or if you're Brent, you could also have doubled out both of those Islander blues and then just let Paul blank, and now you're getting back on having hammer in the 10th. So to me, you had two good options if you're Brent, and he didn't seem to want to choose either one of them. So it was just a little surprising to me.
Yeah, I think we're on the same wavelength. I just a little surprised at that call for sure.
In any case, we can get back to this game, and it's a good start to the 9th end for the Islanders. They've got two behind a center guard, and you might be able to see those X's in the corner of your screen on the sheet next door. We do have a final in our 3-4 game. Jim Cotter stealing one in the 8th, and it's a 9-3 final over Tyler Tardy. So disappointing finish for the number 1 seed in the tournament. They'll finish off of the podium, and Jim Cotter will advance to the men's semifinal tonight. Great shot there by Jared Colomea, once again proving very adept at the run backs. But yeah, just sorry to get back to our schedule. So tonight, Jim Cotter will advance to the men's semifinal. That's at 7 p.m. Pacific time tonight on cbcsports.ca and Czech TV. They'll be facing off against the loser of this game between the Islanders and Jeff Richard. And of course, the winner of that game tonight will move on to tomorrow's final at 2 p.m.
Yeah, I'm sure Team Tardy is very, very disappointed with their outcome this week, and they just haven't really been able to put it all together at the same time. And unfortunately for them, the number 1 seed has now been eliminated. But like you said, John, I don't know if I would want to come up against playoff Jim either.
Yeah, he's certainly a force to be reckoned with once he gets into the playoffs at the BCs. As we've said, 9-time champion, 10-time Brier participant is Jim. So certainly no stranger to these games, and maybe that experience showing a little bit against the younger Tyler Tardy. But yeah, certainly a great win for Jim, and we'll see if he can continue that in the men's semifinal tonight. Jared now looking for a run back here, and that's also a really good shot. Was hoping to maybe roll a little closer to that blue one, but still another really nice
shots.
Yeah, exactly. He did this in the 7th end too. Made some really good run backs to take the play away from the middle and allow his team an opportunity to put themselves in a position to get two. So yeah, very nice shots from Jared Colomea. So now Corey Chester making a little bit of a delicate hit here around these corner guards. Jay will want to make sure that this rolls to a spot where there's no double. And it's in a pretty good spot there, that's for sure. And so Team Richard choosing to ignore those two blue stones, Melissa, and they're going to come around the corner.
I'm not I'm not too surprised about this. They throw up the double corner on the one side for a reason, and they were hoping to get this opportunity to use it. If they get this buried, it's going to be very, very difficult for Team Czeke to have access to it. So they're going to have to make a decision at some point here. Do they chase it, or do they maybe now go on the defensive and put on a center guard? So big shot here for Jeff Richard, and it looks like he is going to make no mistake. As long as it's second shot, great shot. Do you
Yeah,
ever
good
freeze
shot
to it?
from Jeff
I'm not
Richard.
sure.
Yeah, it's an option.
Yeah, I think you
That's
have
what
to,
Paul's
just
calling.
simply because it is second shot.
Well, and you're just getting a little bit too late here to peel.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, no, I like the call, but one of those where, obviously we've said this before, you want to make every shot, but this is certainly a key one here for Corey Chester.
Yeah, huge shot here for Corey for sure. He's made some fantastic peels, runbacks, but this looks like it's got some extra legs on it.
Yeah, as long as you can get to it and get in front of it, that's the key, but you can't roll off.
Nope.
And that's not too bad. You just had to make sure you were third shot there, and Corey Chester did that. So not in the perfect spot, but not bad.
Yeah, I think you made a good point there. That is fourth shot now, and that is a massive difference than not pushing that redstone out for fourth shot. So it was a good result there by Corey. So decision time here now for Team Richard.
Yeah, with the Islanders sitting 3 and only 3 rocks to come, this is where you sort of make a decision as to whether or not you're okay losing the game here. So electing to, I think, Melissa, they're trying to double and roll here.
They are. Yeah, about I think Jeff said three quarters, 7/8. Try and hit this shot stone and roll towards the other blue stone. If they make the double, that would be great as well. So just throwing regular weight here, control our normal weight.
So Jared Colomea trying to hold this. And they will get the double and get a roll. Not quite all the way over to the blue, but still a nice shot from Jeff Richard. They're lying 1 and 3.
Just deciding which way to roll here again, and I think Paul wants to roll towards the middle, but you have to be extremely careful. You can't afford to jam it anywhere.
Yeah,
the problem
certainly
too,
can't
John, I
give up
think
3 here.
Yeah, and I think the problem is if they roll towards the shot stone, they're afraid that they're going to give Team Richard an opportunity for a double, and I think that's what the concern is.
Yeah, it's tricky. You can't jam at the back, and you can't leave, or you'd prefer not to leave a double. So there's not a ton of great options here, and you certainly have to hit the shot stone if you're the Islanders. So again, we talked about this with Brent's last end. It's one of those you see an open hit and you think, okay, well, this is a pretty easy shot, but when the area that you can hit the rock on is as small as it is here for Paul Cseke, it's a much trickier shot than it appears. So big shot here for Paul Cseke. Needs just a little inside roll here. And he won't quite get the roll, so I think the double will be here for Brent Pierce, Melissa.
I think so too, but is it too steep? I don't think so. I think he can save his shooter. Just throws a nice controlled double weight, or double.
Yeah, we've
Control
seen
weight
Brent
double. I'll get that right.
be pretty good at saving his shooter. He's
Absolutely.
yeah. That's the one thing Brent's really adjusted to in his later career, and a lot of skips have to do this, or thirds. You know, anyone who's sort of relying on hits. You know, of course, Brent in his earlier days could throw, you know, the high, heavy, hard peel that we're used to seeing. And as you get older, sometimes the body doesn't allow you to throw that weight that you used to, and you have to make an adjustment. And we've seen it a couple times in this game, Melissa. He's not throwing massive peel, but he throws just sort of an up normal, and he's made the adjustment on the ice and knowing where to hit the rock. And, you know, that's not an easy thing to do either. And I think it's something that Brent's adjusted to very well.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. He's done a very, very good job of that. So they're just trying to figure out here, John, can they make the double and roll? And I think you look at the turn that Brent is playing, and I think that's the only way you can do it, by crossing this rock. If you play into this rock, it hits it more of an angle that it could jam much easier. So I think this is the only opportunity now they have to make the double and roll. And they want to roll as far as they can towards that other redstone and those two guards.
So we get a look at the time there. Jeff Richard getting maybe a little thin on time, but they still have 2 timeouts, so I'm not going to be too concerned about that. And the Islanders have tons of time left. So big shot here from Brent Pierce, looking for a double and a roll to lie 2. This needs to curl, I think. And he will not get the double, and so he is lying shot, though, so the Islanders will once again have a tricky decision here, Melissa, because I think they do have to roll in to get shot.
I think they do too, and I'm not sure that they can. I think they play the same shot they just did, John, don't you? Just a slight roll to the, well, as now to the right as we look at it.
Yeah, I think the key now is you're actually, yeah, exactly what you're going to say. You're trying to guard that blue, in effect, as opposed to get second shot out of this. So you just have to make sure, if you're Paul, that you roll a little bit. If you dead nose, or even worse, roll towards the center, then Brent may have the opportunity to hit for 2. So again, another tricky open hit here for Paul Cseke. Would love a little bit of a roll with his last here in the 9th. Need that to stick around, and it won't. A little bit of over sweeping, and this is a pretty easy shot for 2 here for Brent Pierce. I think Paul threw it well. It just seemed like they maybe killed it a little bit with the sweeping there.
Yeah, I heard Corey saying more, and I guess maybe it just didn't, you know, the communication wasn't being picked up, the fact that was more weight and they needed to curl. It needed to curl more. So bit of a mistake there by Team Cseke. So great opportunity here now for Brent Pierce to get his 2 on the board.
So final stone here in the 9th for Brent Pierce as an open hit for 2. Looks like they like it.
Nice
and
shot.
Brent Pierce will make no mistake. So this is what you want. It's a berth to the BC final on the line, and it's a tie game. The Islanders will have the hammer when we come back You're watching continuing coverage of the BC Men's Provincial Curling Championships live on Curl BC TV. Hello, folks, and welcome back to continuing coverage of the BC Men's Provincial Curling Championships. John Cullen alongside Melissa Saligo for this 1 versus 2 game. Winner moves on to the BC final. Loser will drop to the semifinal tonight against Jim Cotter. And so a huge 10th end coming up here, Melissa. It's a tie game, and it's just been back and forth all morning.
It really has. It's a bit of a roller coaster out here. You know, some great shots by both teams. And so you see the first miss, the first complete miss, I think, by Ryan Cassidy. He was trying to tick, and I think he just maybe overthrew it.
That's exactly what I was going to say. It looked like a lot of weight for a tick.
Mm-hmm.
So Team Richard will have the chance, Nick Meister, to put up a second center guard here. And we might see the strategy employed yesterday with the 2 center guards going up. We might see the Islanders come into the house with this one.
I think so. I think if they throw another center guard up here, which looks like Nick Meister has done successfully, I don't see why they wouldn't be. There you go, drawing around. Important here for Ryan to refocus and throw this one top 4.
So got to get it around this center guard here. Corey Chester and Paul Cseke. Now you want to drag this as far as you can. Want to get a piece of that forefoot. And they do.
Great brushing.
So, great brushing and
nice
great
shot
shot
by
from
Ryan.
Ryan Cassidy. And now an opportunity here for Jared Colomea. We've talked about this week, Melissa. An opportunity for him to get a winner here. This is what you want to do in the 10th end. Get a rock that you can guard for your life if you're Team Richard.
Mm-hmm. So we've seen Jared make some incredible run backs and doubles and everything, and now this is his first draw in quite a while.
And will it hang around for shot? It will. So it does come down there in the slide path a little bit. I thought that was maybe in the back house, but nice shot from Jared. So it is Team Richard sitting shot, but with that one being behind the tee line, I like this call from the Islanders to peel.
I do as well.
So just a reminder, coming up, our next game this afternoon is the women's semifinal. Sarah Wark facing off against Marianne Arsenault. That's coming up live at 2 p.m. on cbcsports.ca and Czeke TV. We'll have all the coverage for you. We'll have some in-studio coverage. Stacy and Kevin and the whole Czeke crew will be joining us, and Melissa and I will have the call for you. It should be a dandy, and I'm most excited, Melissa, to have the players mic'd up. It's going to be excited to. It's going to be exciting not to have to talk so much. I always say let the players do our jobs
game so
for
great,
us.
John.
Yeah, absolutely.
The ability to mic up our players and hear what they're saying.
So looking for a double peel here, and I think given where that red rock is in the house, I don't think the Islanders care too much if they lose their blue in the process here. And it just won't quite curl enough, so Jay Wakefield makes the single peel, and Team Richard will replace it. And we'll have continuing coverage all weekend long. The men's semifinal goes tonight at 7 p.m. Pacific, and then we have both the ladies and men's finals tomorrow, once again on cbcsports.ca and Cseke TV. Those go at 9 a.m. and 2 p.m. tomorrow. And another guard made, no problem, by Jeff Richard.
I think you take a run at it now for sure. This is a great opportunity for you to double peelies if you can get it to go. It's lined up perfectly that it wouldn't go on your red one if Corey can ever hit this one just a little on the high side.
And they will not, so it remains Jeff Richard sitting one.
Biter, did they say?
I think so, yeah.
Wow. Plan B, C, or D? Yeah, that would have been in the rings probably.
Yeah, so the weight call was correct, but now a really good opportunity for the Islanders to get rid of the front stones.
Yeah, this is probably your last opportunity to make these both go away here. This would be a huge shot for Corey Chester. Oh, trying to get it to
curl. Ryan
curl.
on this right away.
Uh-oh.
And that is a real missed opportunity there for the Islanders.
Not only did he miss the double peel, but unfortunately for Corey, he's rolled that rock over to guard the one in the back four, and you can see Corey's face. He knows that one was pretty much a disaster.
Yeah, Corey curling 81% so far this game, but that was a big miss, that's for sure.
We'll get a look at the time clocks when we get a chance, but we know that Team Richard was a little low on time heading into the 10th end. But they do have, this is their first of their 2 timeouts. So Jeff just having a quick look at that time clock.
Yeah, the time clocks are above the sheet, so not super easy for us to see, but we'll try to get a look at it after this stone. So I think they made the decision, Melissa, to just draw beside the blue one. Is that right?
I think so, yes, around the guard that's there. Ideally, they'd like to be just biting top 4 second shot. They don't want to give, obviously the blue one's exposed, so there's a short run there for Team Cseke, and Brent knows that, so they're trying to get this one in a good position on this side of the ice and set themselves up for Brent's last.
So big shot here for Brent Pierce, his first here in the 10th. Maybe trying to give himself a slash stone for his last. Oh, they're guarding.
Oh,
okay.
Look, you're guarding, sorry, my apologies.
I didn't even
Guarding
hear
the
them
blue
say
one.
guard. Yeah, I didn't hear them say guard one time. So
No, not once.
and that will guard that blue. So decision time here if you're the Islanders. I'm guessing,
Do you
Melissa,
ever
your
peel the
options are,
tight guard?
yeah, you could peel the tight guard, or you could try and come around everything and get shot rock, beat them to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't mind that at all. John, if they ever peel the top one that was just thrown by Brent, do they open up the possibility of both sides to them? So they'd have the red short blue run. They may have the wide intern draw, because if you peel the tight one, I'm not sure that's going to give you. I mean, you do have the draw to both sides for sure. I actually think I like the peel of the top one right now to give yourself two chances. Like, where's Brent going to put this? He's probably going to play that
Yeah.
out turn draw that they were thinking about playing, and then that leaves that blue stone for Team Czeke to make a shot. So I don't mind this shot. I don't think.
No, I like this call, and I think Ryan Cassidy was the one who sort of summed it up best. If you peel this, you're going to have a way in no matter what. You can either tap up or slash in that blue, or you can draw or hit on the out turn side. So, yeah, I think this is the right call. And I think too that's why Brent threw the guard in the first place, right? So
Right.
Brent knew that, right? If Brent didn't think that that was a potential option for Paul in his last one, he wouldn't have thrown the guard. So you can also think of it from that perspective, where even your opposition was nervous about it. So yeah, I like the peel, and I think if whenever you have hammer in the 10th, you always want to make sure you have a shot on your last, and if you don't make that draw, you may not have a shot. So I like the peel, and we'll see. Brent's going to have to get this one in a really good spot. So I think, Melissa, what they're trying to do is just tuck a piece in behind that blue one. That would force Paul to probably have to draw. So
Right.
I think that's
I
the
agree.
plan. Just a foot further than that blue one in the house, and just tucked a piece behind. So safe to say the biggest shot of the game here for Brent Pierce, tied up without hammer in the 10th. They think it's a little heavy out of the hand. Nick Meister calling back 4.
Playing the freeze now, I think I heard Jeff say.
Yeah, it's certainly
This
a
has
little heavy.
lots of weight.
This
Lots
is
of weight.
certainly heavy. And so this will give Paul the opportunity to follow it right down. Paul's first instinct was the tap. I think this is a case where you just let the skip throw whatever they see.
Exactly, yep. Sometimes the freeze is never the freeze. We always say in our game, it's one of the hardest shots, but a tap's never easy either, right? Because you have to worry about line and weight. So big shot here for Paul Cseke. Obviously, he's taken a different path now than what Brent Pierce just threw. So this is the one he sees, though. This is the one you have to let him throw.
Yeah, I think probably the concern for Paul is he's just worried that he can't get inside that red one that Brent just threw to get shot. So a trip to the BC final on the line. Paul Cseke needs a tap to the button for the win.
You heard them say back 4.
Sweepers like it so far.
Looks like a lot of weight.
Saying it's a little heavy now. Yeah, you might need that backing. You might need that backing. Do you have it here?
What a shot by
unbelievable.
Paul Cseke.
What a shot by Paul Cseke. The tap up to the lid.
Woo!
And he will get the trip to the BC final tomorrow. Someone get Victoria on the phone. They are going to the BC final tomorrow. Team Richard will drop down to the men's semifinal tonight. What a fantastic game from both teams, but it's the Islanders coming out on top. We'll hear from Paul Cseke right after this. Well, we are back, and we just saw a fantastic game, the 1-2 game between the Islanders and Team Richard, and it was the Islanders coming out on top, and Paul Cseke is with us now. And Paul, you're in the BC final. How does that sound?
Sounds pretty good, John. I'm pretty happy about that.
Yeah, no kidding. I just wanted to ask you about your shot in 10. You had the option to follow Brent down on that out turn. You elected to go with the tap. Tell me a little bit about your decision-making on that one.
Well, I don't think I had the option of following him down. He's getting more curl with the way he's throwing it. And I would have had to paper that guard. So to me, there was only one shot. And I told Jay right before the end, I said, give me that intern. I want that intern. So we got it.
That's awesome. That's so awesome, Paul. Congratulations. Looking forward to watching you in the final tomorrow. So you've got about a day off, I guess, maybe about 24 hours off. What does that look like for you guys to prepare?
Well, luckily, I mean, Jay and I have been in this situation before, so we're going to learn a lot. We're going to probably do some sort of activity to keep our mind off things. Last night, Jay and Cody taught us all how to make pasta from scratch, and we'll probably do something weird like that tonight.
Fantastic.
You'll have to
I'll
tell
look
us.
forward to having some pasta.
Yeah, exactly. You'll have to tell us what's on the menu. We'll pass on that information to the rest of the world tonight. Paul, yeah, you're getting ready. you're getting ready for the final tomorrow. I just want to get back to this game a little bit. I want to go actually all the way back to the first end. You had a shot for 4, and unfortunately you missed it, and you gave up a steal of 1. Talk to me a little bit about how the team was able to regroup after that, because just watching the game, it didn't seem like that rattled you guys that much at all.
Well, that one shot taught me a lot about the ice. We were seeing more curl in practice than we were used to. And so I threw that one, I hit it hard out of my hand, and I just shaped that shot wrong. And I'm not gonna lie, I felt like really bad after that. But then you watch the guys, they're all just like smiles, making their draws perfect, not phased at all. And that helped me a lot just recover. So it was we knew it was going to be close, but I don't know if you're going to ask, but we can talk about how many runbacks those guys made. Oh my goodness.
How many runbacks did they make?
Oh man.
A lot.
It was hard to watch, but also amazing curling by those guys. Holy smokes.
Yeah, it was a fantastic game to watch for us here in the booth, and I'm sure for all the fans as well. Congratulations, Paul. You're through to the BC final tomorrow. Just a fantastic job by your team. For Melissa Saligo, I'm John Cullen. We'll see you back here at 2 p.m. for the women's semifinal live on cbcsports.ca and Czech TV. Thanks for tuning in. Goodbye.